desperate outcast plots the ultimate theft.
Either you help me, or you and your friends will die.
The life force within Dax.
She's come to steal my symbiont.
Now to save her shipmates.
I don't want anyone else hurt because of me.
Will she make the ultimate sacrifice?
Forgive me.
Put the symbiont back where it belongs.
I can't do that.
This woman is dying and I need your help to save her.
On the next episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
There's a bigger issue here. Just because a group of people belong to the Federation, it does not mean that they are saints. The trouble is Earth. On Earth, there is no poverty, no crime, no war. You look out the window of Starfleet headquarters and you see paradise. Well, it's easy to be a saint in paradise. Out there, all the problems haven't been solved yet. Out there are no saints, just people. Angry, scared, determined people who are going to do whatever it takes to survive.
What I want to know is, out of all the stories you told me, which ones were true and which ones weren't?
My dear doctor, they're all true.
Even the lies.
Especially the lies.
On behalf of the Bajoran government
And the Promenade Merchants Association.
I officially welcome you to Deep Space Nine.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to Especially the Lies at Deep Space Nine podcast, part of the Front Row Network and NPR Illinois Community Voices. We're a group of newbies watching Deep Space Nine for the very first time, and a group of folks who have seen the Prophets, who have watched the whole show at least once, twice, or maybe several hundred times, depending on who you are. And we're here today to talk about Season 2, Episode 4, Invasive Procedures. I'm Scott, and with me is...
Emily.
Chris?
Is it me? Sorry.
Nicole.
It
was me.
And Jessi.
It was definitely Nicole.
Shit, sorry. It's not and Jessi, it's just Jessi. Welcome.
And then...
And Mike.
There you go.
God damn it.
We'll get this right after Season 5 or 6. It's fine.
No, this is 700,000 fucking times later and we still suck at it.
Well, we don't suck at everything because as of this week, we are the 92nd top TV review podcast in the United States. And there's a couple of those. So
92?
Yeah, 92.
All right.
We're still number 3 in Austria, not Australia, Austria.
Don't mix those up.
Yep.
They don't want me to. Okay, before we get started, just a reminder to check out all our social media links down below. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, a whole bunch of other ones. I just started a Twitch account that I haven't played with yet, but that's linked down there too. And if you can, please be sure to leave us a review on Apple iTunes. That is the best place to do it. The link for that is also down below. And we did get a new review in. This one comes from I'm Kathy from the United Kingdom. And it is a 5-star, so we appreciate that. I'm Kathy. And it says, loving the podcast, including the chit-chat. I'm really enjoying the show. The mix of my opinions is really entertaining, and I'm sure it'll be a part of any rewatch. I also enjoy listening to non-show chat. It makes it feel like a community, and it is that will keep me listening through the more boring episodes. Not that there are too many boring episodes, of course. Keep up the good work. Thanks, I'm Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
I love how everyone is responding to the douchebag who left her a 2-star. Now it's like,
Really?
oh, no, the chit-chat's good.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Am I wrong? Did Kathy just imply that not only is she enjoying it right now, but she will plan to listen to our asses again in the future?
Yeah,
That is,
I mean, we are the gift that keeps on giving. I'm Kathy.
Like herpes, Kathy. Thanks so much.
Absolute maniac.
I am not like herpes. I'm going to say that right now.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Mildly annoying. It's okay. Let's just keep going. It's fine.
It's just a cold sore. We know, Bob. We know.
God damn it. Let's not, what do they call it? Stigmatize herpes, please. Because, 1 out of 4 people have it. So you're all welcome. I didn't give it to
And that's for facts that I don't want to know for 100.
The way you worded that, you needed a pregnant pause there between the 1 in 4 have it, you're all welcome. You gotta have that
What have you
little
been
pause
doing?
there.
I didn't give any out of any. Let's move on. God damn it.
Moving on.
Moving on.
And also, please be sure to join our Patreon if you can. We do have our Discord server where we do have spoiler and non-spoiler channels going on that. And a special thanks to our producers, who are those who give the top amount of support every single month. They are listed down below in the show notes as well. Okay, guys, we're going to dive into Invasive Procedures. And I do believe Chris, our new newbie, has a synopsis for us.
A desperate Trill tries to steal the Dax symbiont.
And when it doesn't work, he has a building full of gremlins and or takes on Clark Kent. John Glover
We're going
rules.
to turn this into the Gremlins 2 Key and Peele skit, the creative session again.
I posted that to our Facebook, by the way, the video. So you're welcome.
Yeah, no, that's legendary. That skit is one of the greats.
Okay, let's dive into this episode and talk about our first impressions from our newbies first, who have just watched this episode for the first time this week. At least I'm hoping, if they didn't cheat. Jessi, first impressions on Invasive Procedures.
I actually very much liked this. I say actually, like I'm surprised that I liked it. I did like
Well,
this.
I mean, let's be honest.
First season was a little rough. I did like this episode. I found myself, I actually had to turn it off or pause it for a second at the time that they cut the symbiont out of her and put it into him, because I was not ready for that. I just don't want Dax to die. And I thought that they were going to stop it before they even cut the symbiont out. And so when they actually did it, I was like, well, what the fuck? How are you going to fix this one? So I stopped it and I gave myself a little, kill my brain cells a second, like social media and bullshit. And then I came back to it. And I actually did enjoy this one very much.
Nicole, first impressions.
Yeah, this was a good episode. First of all, the symbiont thing is disgusting looking. And the cutting the cord gave me like giving birth vibes. Ew. But overall, I really liked how clever and crafty Cisco was in basically like getting into that bitch's head and like kind of taking control over the situation. And, he did it very subtly and very strategic. And you could kind of see his like mind working and like you can see him planting those seeds as you go. It was really that was probably one of my favorite parts. But yeah, overall, I thought it was really good with Julian, Bashir, and Dax having that sweet moment when he's, forgive me, I won't let you die. Like I was like, my heart was hurting a bit because, he is like in love with her and he probably felt so torn. And the shipping is beginning. I'm just saying right now. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a good episode. I love how Kira was like, oh, well, photos for you're not leaving, so let's go. And she like volunteers to be the hostage, and yeah, and it was really good. I thought this was I hate to say it was a fun episode, but it kind of was in a way, like just the kind of like almost like the mental gymnastics in a way where it was like tense and then it was sad and then it was kind of humorous and it took you on a ride. And if a show can do that, I think it's a good one.
And Chris, first impressions.
Yeah, I agree with Jessi and Nicole. I really enjoyed the episode. I liked how Cisco, like Nicole said, was engaging in mental warfare and, kind of going after Mariel and, like Nicole said, planting those seeds in her head, which I thought so I thought this episode was borderline hilarious to me. There were a bunch of times when I just caught myself bursting out laughing. One, because I think Kira got in 2 fights in this episode and both times she got dog walked. And I'm like, wait a minute, she's like the hero of her people. She's a grizzled war vet. Like, how is she getting dog walked on her own station? And then the part where Quirk was faking the injury was in. I'm sorry, I can't.
My lobes.
And he was on the operating table or the table in Julian's, and oh God, I can't even think of the word now because it was so funny. Anyways, he was making like these. You remember the noises that Prince used to make when he would be like moaning on records just for no reason?
Yes.
Oh
my God.
And I was like, what is going on here? And then my wife is in the other room and she's like, what are you watching? And I'm like, it's Star Trek, man. It's Star Trek. It's not what you think. But I was in tears watching that. And then, yeah, I felt like Cisco and the mental warfare was kind of borderline between like mean girl aspects to it, but it also had like psychological warfare aspects to it. Like he was playing on her insecurities. Like, he knows to leave you, right? He doesn't really love you. He doesn't want to be with you. And on the other side, it was like, all the information about how Trill operate and knowing, Dax more than anybody else, and, kind of get in her head. So I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I was salty when they put my guy Odo in the box. Nobody puts Odo in the box, but they put him in the box and they, kept him in stasis the whole episode. I was like, they did him foul, but it was a really enjoyable episode. I really liked this one.
Nobody puts Odo in the box.
Yeah, they put Odo in straight out the gate too. It wasn't even like, let's get some screen time. Right. It was, and action, Odo get in the box. I was like, damn it.
What's in the box?
That's all I wanted to do was yell, "What's in the box?"
Right.
The box.
It was a smart little conversation too with Bashir in the med bay. He's just like, why would I care if you shoot this box? Odo's in it. Oh, okay. Shit. Checkmate. Right. Got you.
I do like that they said that though, because I would have said the same thing. Like, it's not my fucking, I'll blow this fucking shit up right now in front of you guys. Like,
shoot the goddamn box. Go
and I'm glad that he was like, and that's a me problem. So.
Well, I really
let's head over to.
I like Quirk's reaction. He was like, "Do we have to let him out?"
Right.
Yeah, that was good.
And this is after Quirk has already committed so many crimes in this one episode. Like, at this point, screw it. I'm just gonna say no Odo, please.
The whole thing jumped off because of his scheming ways.
Yeah, he was scheming with the Klingons. Okay, let's go over to our folks who have watched every episode. Mike, first impressions.
I agree with everyone else. I really like this episode. It's a pretty fun little bottle episode, and it's got some nice stuff going on. Like, as soon as I'm gonna say this, a million people are gonna come out of the woodwork and shit all over me for saying it. But there's something that I don't feel like you get a lot of in Trek, and that is you get Alien of the Week, and you get all the Romulans and their fuckery. But what you don't get a lot of is the little rogue element, the mercenaries, and so I kind of appreciate when you get this storyline of the two Klingon mercenaries and the other chick, and they're running this little rogue criminal operation, right? And because they're pretty good villains, and we know who one of the Klingons is as an actor later, and it was really well done. So I appreciate that they kind of mixed up the formula of Trek a little bit and did that. And then the other aspect is, we've seen a little bit of the whole Trill concept and what it does in sci-fi and how it's pretty unique. It's a pretty interesting thing. And they've only started to play with a little bit in an episode in season 1 and now here. And so I actually really like how not only was it this heist kind of storyline, but they managed to work the Trill special aspect of it seamlessly into the story. I thought made it that much more interesting. So overall, I think it's a really solid, well-written episode.
Emily,
I do like it. I think it's.
Oh, I'm surprised you actually like an episode.
You're surprised I like an episode of one of my favorite shows.
I was just waiting for you to hate on it again.
No, I'm not going to hate on this one. I think it's a good episode. I think I like how it shows them actually working more as a team for each other. And I every time I watch it, I still wonder how much of the Dax symbiont is working on Farad with Cisco, because they know, they have history. They know each other. And so, the Dax symbiont knows Cisco well enough to know that he's not going to let this just happen. He's going to do what he can. And I wonder, once he's actually in Farad, how much he's playing up the arrogance, the dismissal of, what was her name? I just spaced.
Jadzia?
No.
Oh, Muriel. Whatever.
Yeah. How much he emphasizes those kind of behaviors to try to turn her so he can go back to Jadzia. But yeah, the whole part with Quark in the ear and just losing his marbles in the infirmary is always really entertaining. And I'm really interested to know if any of the newbies recognize Takar.
I don't even know.
You gotta tell who Takar is.
Yeah.
The newbies aren't even gonna know who the character's name is, but good try.
The Klingon.
Which one?
Mike already brought it up.
Familiar.
No, so Chris, you have not watched Voyager, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay, good. Don't. It's the worst.
Yeah, it's not.
It truly is the worst. I'm sorry, Janeway lovers, but yeah, Tim Russ was a main character in Voyager. He was.
Might know him better from Spaceballs.
Tuvok.
We ain't found shit.
Exactly.
That is the guy.
He was on Voyager for years, and that's still how he's best known.
I just watched that movie. What one are you? Who are you talking about in there?
He's the guy combing the desert with a pick.
Yep. Okay, got it. Tracking. Thanks.
He actually has a TikTok account, Tim Russ does, and he's got the Spaceballs helmet on, and he's like, I've done this, I've done that, I've been a Shakespearean actor, I've been on Star Trek for 7 years, and all I'm remembered for is, we ain't found shit.
Because it's a great line.
I was going to make the joke before Emily did it was, Tim Russ, best known as that guy on the Enterprise B bridge from Generations, because he's on there for like 5 seconds. But
I was gonna jump in there and say that too. Tim, yeah, he has a long history with Trek, right? He was in an episode of The Next Generation. He was in the movie Generations as I assume a different character.
He was just some dude on the bridge.
Yep.
Of the Enterprise B.
He was of course in DS9. He was one of the main cast of Star Trek Voyager, and he's appeared in I don't know how many other follow-up video games as recurring character.
A main cast member of like a fan-made movie that kind of sucked, but it was cool that he was in it.
I have to wonder if he holds the record for being in the most different.
I think most different. Okay, I see because if it's the record of people who've been on the most episodes and movies, it's Michael Dorn.
Yeah, I could see that. But that was why I was thinking projects. But honestly, Michael Dorn's probably up there too. So
yeah,
anyway.
And Michael Dorn's the only TNG cast member. No, Michael Dorn's the only TNG cast member who was on a original series movie because he played Worf's grandfather on the Undiscovered Country. And Chris, you know Michael Dorn because he's in Picard.
Yeah. Yep.
Worf. But yeah, and I also think that Jonathan Frakes, believe it or not, has like some of the most credits too, because he does a stint in Voyager. He will do a stint in DS9. Spoilers, and obviously been in all the movies. And he's directed a shit ton of new stuff too. He directed like a good portion of the Discovery episodes. He's directed a couple Strange New World episodes, including the one that was a crossover of Lower Decks. Yeah. So
you're right.
And Scott, what did you think of the episode today? Because my eyes have glossed over, and I am done.
I'm sorry. What I think of the episode is John Glover. I love John Glover as an actor. He's great. And I love how he played this character. He was an evil piece of shit, but he was an antisocial, really socially awkward guy who just felt like the world owed it to him. And he played that well. And then when he shifts into having Dax in him, his personality completely shifts.
Yeah.
And he's much more,
Yes.
Yeah. So John Glover acts the shit out of this, and he is great. And we'll talk more about that, I'm sure. But also, to all your guys' point, I think this is some of the best banter between the cast that we've gotten. It's nice that to Mike's point, it's a bottle episode. They spent a lot of money on the previous episode, so they had to save some money on this one. So every extra is off the station, which, by the way, in 2 episodes in a row, we've kicked everyone off the station for some reason.
I was gonna say I almost said something about that because it's not so much a criticism of the episode as it is the timing of this episode versus like the preceding one where
you could have really just like made the connection like the siege is over, but we haven't gotten everyone back yet.
Yeah,
and we're just gonna roll into it.
And it's like we're gonna do back-to-back empty station guerrilla warfare.
So I really like the banter and everything else. I think this is a very good comedic episode. And the last thing I'll add on my first impressions is this, up until this point, is my favorite Cisco episode because we are really getting the Cisco that we will know through this show. And that is, he is not a diplomat like Picard. He is not a swashbuckler like Kirk. He is a strategist. He will find the chink in your armor and he will play you until you fall apart. And the entire episode, not once is Cisco not in command of the situation. Even when you don't think he is, he's sitting back there watching everybody. He smiles when somebody gives him something. He knows exactly what he's doing, and that is Cisco to a T, and we will see a lot more of that. So this is exciting to me that we get, and Chris, this is new for you probably, but Avery Brooks has said flat out that he was not comfortable in the role for a while. And part of that was the showrunners were not comfortable with having a black man in charge. And they wanted him to not play the quote unquote black man. So they didn't allow him to do a lot of stuff that he would have done. They didn't allow him to feel comfortable in his own skin. As we move through season 2 and definitely on from there, he gets more comfortable as an actor. And I think, Chris, you actually called this out that Avery Brooks kind of feels a little awkward in some places. He would agree with you. He said that the first couple seasons, he's not comfortable. But in this episode, we're starting to see that he is getting a more feel of the character and being able to kind of play with it. Okay, let's go ahead and roll into the episode proper. Jessi, what do you got?
So I wanted to comment real quick on Cisco, and when you were like, he was always in control. What I loved about the episode, and it stuck out immediately, was by the way that his crew members follow him. You can tell that he's a good leader, because the bad guys came in and they're like, get in the middle, and they just stood there, and as soon as Cisco said go ahead, get in the middle, they moved. And I was like, well, that just shows that they trust him, you know what I mean? Because if they didn't trust him, they'd be like, fuck you, I'm not doing shit that you say. So I did enjoy that part.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree on that. Nicole?
Yeah, I mean, since we were kind of started talking about Cisco, he's been one of my favorite characters from the start, and I feel like the more we get to see him lead and the more we get to see from him, the more and more I like him. Like, I really thought this episode was so clever. Like you said, he was in command. He knew what he was doing. He was messing with this girl. He was putting those seeds in. And it was almost like they can communicate by looks. You know what I mean? Like, Kira knew what to do. Even Quark, is as much as fuckery that Quirk does, and he was the one who let them in, even he went over to the sick bay and like helped Bashir take down the Klingon.
Action adventure Quark.
Yeah. But even somebody like him, like, kind of is in the mix too. And like, I feel like it's almost like he falls into command. It just goes to show you that, like, one of the themes of, previous episodes was he wants to work with these other alien races to learn more, to grow together. The Bajorans in them, like, really got to know each other, things like that. And I feel like he does such a good job because, look, if you look at everyone's backgrounds, they're all different, from different races, different places, different planets, whatever. And they're all like one. They're all a team. And it's because of that good leadership and that community where they can grow. And it's almost like they just have an unspoken connection. And like, they didn't have that in the first half of the season. And as the show has gone on, I think the more and more they become like one solid unit, like a family. The Island of Misfit Toys, like, But that was so prevalent in this episode, and he handled this shit so well. She fucking handed over the phaser and was like, all right, bye. Like, handle it. You like how that, like, it has to take somebody who is a crafty, smart person to get that turnover. So it was just probably the highlight for me of the whole episode.
Hell have no fury like a woman friend zoned. As soon as she got friend zoned, she was over.
Yeah. With her
she
head
was gonna
super bad.
Yeah, she's like, he said he was gonna meet me there, and now I'm supposed to meet him.
And to be fair, Cisco called it. He called that shit, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, of course he was right because he fucking knows."
Yeah. Well, and I would say too, he also knows Dax. I mean, that was the smartest thing about Cisco's play is he gets everyone to see that this guy is not the same guy. He's like, hey, remember the bachelor party and all of that? And then he gets him to a point where he's comfortable. He's calling him Benjamin, slapping their shoulders. And he's like, oh yeah, remember that time when Jadzia did this? Remember her, the 28-year-old girl you're trying to kill right now? It was so good. Chris.
Yeah, no, it was very, like, I think we had all said it, very well played by Cisco this entire episode. I also wanted to say, Scott, I think you mentioned it, and Mike, I know you definitely mentioned it. The writing for the episode, I thought was done well. Writing a teleplay or an episode is hard enough, let alone having to inject comedy, action, drama, the emotional content. It's all in there. And I thought it was very well placed. I thought the pacing of the episode was done very well. And when, as Mike said, they gave us a lot of information on, right, Trill and what that experience is like, being a Trill, having a symbiote inside of you, and then kind of building the lore around that, right? If you transfer it once, okay, you go for twice, now you're playing with fire, right? They kind of laid out the mythology surrounding the Trill, and it's very tricky to do from a writing standpoint when you have, 50 minutes or so, 45 minutes. You can't have periods of an episode that are just bogged down or dragged down by exposition. And that's what happens a lot of times when, especially in sci-fi, right? There's so much just information that's being thrown around when you're building worlds and you're getting into mythology and you're creating lore. And I thought they did a very good job of not letting the exposition and the explanation of who the Trill are, how they operate, the symbionts, and the biological interaction between host and symbiont weigh the episode down. I never felt at any point like, oh my God, like, can we just get to the next scene? Like, all right, get it over with already, right?
Right.
I talk about this often with my mentor and creative partner. It's now that I've written screenplays and I've written scripts, it's kind of like Neo in the Matrix. When you're watching something, you tend to see the Matrix. You don't like the ability to enjoy something just at face value for entertainment is different, right? It's the same thing for novelists when they read books, for poets when they read poetry, for athletes when they watch, whatever respective sport they play. You see it from a whole different angle. And in watching the episode, that was one thing that really jumped out to me. Like, I'm seeing, they did a great job of structuring, pacing, injecting this here, and have everything flow seamlessly, as it was said before, not have it be a choppy thing or a forced thing or weighing down the episode, dragging it out. I think from front to end, this might even have been my favorite episode so far between season 1 and then everything up to season 2 right now.
I agree completely that I appreciated that, like, this is the second taste of like what a Trill is and kind of like why it's an interesting concept to play with from a writing perspective. But like, I actually really liked the aspect that they focused on in this episode. Like, it didn't feel like Chris said, they didn't feel like they were just reading me the rule book. Like, here are the ABCs of being a Trill and what it means. Mm-hmm. But I liked that they focused on the aspect of how it changes the host and how they are no longer the person that they were before. I thought that was really interesting because that's not something that we've seen so far, and it kind of gives you the idea of like, none of us know anything at all about what Jadzia was like before she came to DS9. Right. So I thought that was really cool, and at the end, the line of the whole episode that got me like right in the feels was when gosh darn it, I just forgot her name.
I know exactly what you're going for.
When Mariel turned and said, he lied to me. He's never lied to me before. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wasn't going
that was like chef's kiss, perfect cherry on top of the storyline. And really, besides that, Chris hit another good point, which was the fact that this episode had a fairly dense amount of content, and it really didn't have a B plot. You had two different sides of an A plot, but everything else was focused, and I really appreciated that they stayed true to that, and instead of trying to shoehorn some awkward other unnecessary thing into it, that they decided to spend the time on the characters.
I think Jessi mentioned that too. This is the pace on this thing. It doesn't feel like 45 minutes because some of these episodes you feel the full 45 minutes, but yeah, I mean, we are moving from start when they run into Quirk in the bay and they don't know what's going on all the way to the end, and really it feels like it's kind of an abrupt stop just because when we get there, we get there. The one question I have for all of you, because you brought up Dax, and this episode was built by the showrunners and writers to kind of explain the Dax symbiote and all of that, the Trill, because we will see these, I mean, obviously with Jadzia, we're going to see Trill stories a lot, and they're trying to kind of explain what this dynamic looks like. My question to all of you is, who do you think, because it's not answered in this episode, who do you think is in the driver's seat? Is it more the human, the Trill, so the Jadzia or the Gerard, or is it the Dax? Who's in the driver's seat? Or is it a little bit of both? Or because, I mean, obviously Dax was not a big fan of Jadzia getting killed, but as soon as Dax moves over to the other guy, that's not a concern anymore. At least it doesn't seem like it. So I'm curious to see what you all think about that.
I think Dax is in the driver's seat. The humans or the body's just the host, and the symbiont makes the decisions based on the information they have from the previous memories and that person. I think they take all that into account and kind of drive the car.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Emily?
I think it depends on the host, because they talked about going through all the testing and everything they had to go through before they could get approved to get the symbiont. And Farad has a very weak personality. I could see him sitting at home listening to Manosphere podcast bullshit because he hates women, because he feels shit's owed to him. That's the kind of vibe he gives, right?
Got a red baseball cap.
Very Jordan Peterson, yes.
Whereas Jadzia, she has a stronger personality, so I feel like Dax wouldn't have nearly as much control. Like, there's definitely influence there. There's memories, the knowledge, the influence, but it seemed like the personality could easily overpower Varad and just be like, you know what? Cisco was talking about me treating Muriel very differently, so I can run with that and screw up his whole plot.
I think it's a great conversation is who is really in control? Is it the symbiote or is it the host person? And they kind of got into that in the episode where Dax was on trial for the suspected murder of the other, what was his name? And then
the general, I'm blanking on his name too, but that was the episode from season 1.
Yeah.
Which was called Dax. Dax
was pimping and ended up sleeping with the general's wife, and all the drama came out at the end. My question, though, it kind of, and to play devil's advocate here, my question is if the personality of the host body is in control, or if the symbiote is in control, if Dax is in control. If Dax was in control, as soon as he went into Varad, wouldn't he have just been like, yeah, no, I know this guy, I know why he did it, but I don't want to be here. Let's go ahead and just transfer me back over to Jadzia. So I know it's risky, but like if Dax was in control, I think it would have been more of a struggle for Varad to actually complete his mission, because Dax would be like, nah, I'm not down with this. I don't want to do this. But I feel it's either a 50-50 or maybe there is kind of an overriding of the host body personality when it really comes down to it, in the sense of this, if it comes to the symbiote and the host disagreeing, the host kind of has the final word. What do you think about that? Do you think there's any plausibility in that? That's just kind of something from watching the episode is, well, who is really in control? To me, it seems more like the host body and the personality kind of has final say.
Jesse, you got something too?
So I think, no, so I just heard you say two different things and maybe my brain just like deciphered them differently. So at first I heard you say, well, if it was Dax would have made it harder on the new guy. I'm not going to learn his name because we're never going to see him again. That guy has so limited capacity.
I said his name wrong too. It's Varad.
This is what I do. Okay, so if Dax ran it, then I think that Dax runs it in her body. So if Dax is the host, I think that Dax would be the dominant person, because when we saw her come like awake and we were talking, like he was talking to her, she seemed very Dax, like very still Dax, not any different. But then once he turned, the symbiont went to Varad, then I feel like Varad has the steering wheel and everybody else just has like the memories are there, but the personality of the person that you transfer it into is the main person. And then so I heard you say the first one differently, and then when you said your very last sentence, it sounded like you said the host is the person in charge. So I don't know. I think I heard two different things, but yeah, I definitely think Dax wouldn't have had that much like of a say in Varad because she was just the memories, but she transferred from the host to the memories part. And I think that in my brain, that's what makes the most sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I think, because that was my question, right? I'm like, who has more control? Is it the host body or is it the symbiote? And then I think Emily had said it depends on the person. She feels like it, which I think, Jessi, is to your point, what you just said, because I was going back and forth between points. I felt like, well, it's this way. Another point, I felt like it's that way. But what you said, Jessi, actually makes a ton of sense in that it's like in Jadzia, Dax is in control. Or has way more influence. In Varad, it seemed like Varad was the one running the show as opposed to Dax. So I guess, I don't know, maybe Emily, you're right. Maybe it depends on the personality. Jessi,
so what I heard is,
it down to me. Yeah, Jessi broke it down and Emily's right.
I like that. I'm good with it.
Mike?
I'll jump in and say that I think Dax is just a gooey flash drive.
The slug, yeah.
Like, I mean, and I think they foreshadow, there are two things to consider, I think. The first one is that popped into my head was when they remember Varad was this really like kind of meek dude that had like a stutter and he was, so when they took the symbiote back out of him at the end, it still felt like he was the same personality that he was when he had the symbiote in him. So I think the fact that there's like some residual left over on, he changed as a person because of the symbiote and the bonding, and that didn't just like get Udo reversed when they yanked it out of him. I think
but he said he couldn't remember though. Like he's like, I can't remember any of it.
Well, shit, who can?
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
And I think the second thing, before I get the thread, was I think they foreshadowed it a little bit, or they framed it a little bit by talking to Mariel early on when they kind of asked him, like, what do you think he's going to be like after this? And she said, oh, he's going to be more confident. And I think there's a lot you can unpack with that statement, because like as people, what gives us confidence? Well, stupidity, alcohol, and experience.
Knowledge. Right.
Knowledge and experience. So that's what he's really getting out of the Trill. And that is what ultimately is the thing that changes his personality, not like that the symbiote has a personality of its own that it's necessarily exerting upon it. I think he's still shitty Virad. He's just more confident shitty Virad.
Dax gave him a good posture.
So that's my hot take.
Well, I also thought it was interesting too at the end when Dax got the symbiont back and she was like, you know, his I still have his memories. It's so sad, and he was so sad, and he'll always be with me, you know. And basically she kind of confirmed everything we're saying, that he was like a sad, pathetic incel type, like just not confident like person. I know I had to throw that
You're
in
gonna
there.
piss off the incels.
Sorry.
You know how they feel about that shit.
Well,
If you're a red pill incel, we don't need you anyway. So go ahead and see yourself
We're
out.
on season 2. If you're still here, it's your fault.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, we would have.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I thought that was very telling and very prominent, like that she was like, yeah, his thoughts and his memory were like really sad and basically pathetic. And that's kind of how he was before he had the transfer.
Yeah, see?
I don't agree with Mike. Shocking. I don't think that it doesn't come with its own, like, I don't maybe the word that I don't agree with is personality, because like if you like left the symbiote out by itself, does it have a personality? No. You know what I mean? Like I agree with that part, but like I feel like it does bring the memories, the feelings, the thoughts, the beliefs, all of that stuff, which of course is going to make somebody that's meek and like can't think for himself more positive and more like outspoken. But I also don't think that, I don't know if I don't disagree with Mike now that I'm saying, I don't know what I'm talking about.
She's talking herself out of it.
You know what, Jessi?
No. Go ahead.
Disgusting blobs have rights too, okay?
I'm not, listen.
Just kidding.
Not today, ma'am. I'm not the bad guy.
I'm just messing with you.
Now I'm going to complicate it further by saying that I was really overstating that just to make a point. Like, if anything, I think the gooey flesh drive blob is probably like a dog. Like your dog has a personality.
Are you talking about the symbiote or the person?
The symbiote.
Oh, okay,
The
my bad.
symbiote
'Cause
is
I thought you
Dax,
called.
the
I thought you
girl is
called Dax
Jadzia. No.
I thought you were talking
That's
about
what you.
Dax.
I was trying to say that earlier, Jessi. I think you're confusing the names.
Okay, no, I know who Dax is. I know. Don't. First
Dax
of
is
all,
the
don't.
worm.
Jadzia. Dax. When I say Dax, I mean the girl. Like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Dax is the worm. Jadzia is the girl.
Dax is part of the worm, but that's what they call her. They call her Dax.
Not when the worm's out of her though. Then it was Virard Dax, and it's Jadzia.
I understand that,
The
but what I'm
worm is
saying is for
Dax.
a season and some episodes, we've called her Dax. And regardless of whether the blob has part of Dax in it, that's what we're referring to her as. Yes?
I
No?
mean, you're not wrong.
Okay, I'm not wrong. I know I'm not wrong. Scott's
She's
wrong.
never wrong.
It's fine. I am wrong sometimes, but this is not one of those times. All right. So Jadzia, I thought when you were, okay, now I understand what you're talking about, because you were calling Dax the blob a blob. And now we're talking about I'm talking about Dax as Jadzia. Moving on. I'm so glad we could have this conversation.
Hopefully
I have a question for the experts.
Go ahead, Chris.
So, and they might explain this later on, or they might have explained it and I missed it. If
I'm
you
gonna
have
take notes. He's gonna ask a question. Take notes.
All right.
So if you have the symbiote, right?
Yes.
And it's living inside of a host body. I would think all of those previous lives, memories, thoughts, feelings, emotions, information, all of that would completely fry somebody's brain, right? If you are instantly connected to all of that, I would feel like there had to be some residual, either psychological and or physiological damage. Is there something special about the Trill species that enables them to be able to not only handle that on long term, but the initial download, right? Or the initial connection. Like, is there something, because I'm just thinking about if it was a human brain getting flooded with all of that instantly at one time, I feel like they'd be in, the straitjacket in the padded room, they wouldn't be able
Grippy
to.
socks. A grippy sock vacation. That's what we like to call it.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, Chris, you come at this with a little bit more knowledge than the newbies do, because there is another Trill character on Discovery.
Yeah.
And so we kind of learn more about the Trill on that show as well. Nothing that's going to affect DS9, but I mean, the Trill are in the Star Trek more so than just DS9. I think from what we have seen so far, and I preface everything I'm going to say by what we have seen so far, is there is clearly a training and a preparation to make sure that the person is willing and able to take on this. And that's why even Jadzia says 10%, 1 in 100 get through the process. I have some thoughts on that a little later on too, which I'll bring up, but so they have to go through the process. And I think one of the reasons why Varad probably didn't make it is because they did look at him and say, this guy's not going to be able to handle it for one reason or another. He doesn't have the mental acuity, the maturity, or the ability to do it. Now, he disagrees, but I think they made the right choice when he didn't get Dax the first time. And going back to my original question on who's driving, again, I'm basing this off only what we have seen. I think that there's a brand new personality that takes over, and there's no yes or no on switch, off switch, because when we see Jadzia Dax at the beginning of the episode, she is very much like we saw in the episode Dax. She is very stoic. She's like, okay, I've got to do what I need to do for my friends, and I'm going to go under the knife, and because if I don't, these guys are going to kill my friends. The end. When Dax is removed from Jadzia, Jadzia is very scared. She is crying for the first time we see her cry. I don't think that she loses any of her strength or ability to be a person, but she definitely has a different personality without Dax inside of her. And it's kind of the same thing with Varad, in my opinion, is we see an on switch and an off switch. When the Dax symbiont's given to Varad, his personality changes. He's much more open. He's much more engaged. And as soon as Dax is taken from him, he basically turns into a limp noodle. So I don't think anyone is driving the ship. I think it's a whole new personality every time, is my opinion. Mike?
Back to Chris's original question, or part of it, I guess. He kind of asked, like, are the Trill special in some way that make them not like get fried for getting hooked up? And I guess I don't know that we can answer that question exactly, because my initial thought was exactly what you just said, Scott, that 1 in 10 only get selected. But we know Varad didn't get selected. He did get Trill put in him, and it worked. It didn't fry him. He might not be the right personality that is the best thing for the Trill or the universe, but it did work. So I guess we can't really answer whether people will be cooked or not by what happens to them. So just to really go back and circle to that answer.
And Mike, I think you bring up the other point I wanted to make is just because we're told by the Trill that only a few people can handle it doesn't mean that that's actually what the truth is. And the only thing that strikes me in the entire conversation in this episode is Jadzia, while she has Dax in her, says, well, all of my family didn't get a symbiote, and they had basically she kind of says they led good lives. Like, they're special needs and they're okay and they have a disability, but they led productive lives. So I question if there is kind of a hierarchy there that is kind of more civilizational than it is scientific. Yeah,
makes sense. Not everybody can be awakened to the great lie about things like birds not being real. So
some people just can't handle it.
Some people just can't handle the truth.
Well, since I'm on Secretary Hegseth's signal, I will ask him. Don't worry. Oh my God.
Do you see? I just saw an article today that China unveiled that they have like a new type of drone that's like the size of a mosquito. So sorry, conspiracy theorists, we were wrong about you.
We've moved past the birds.
Yeah.
Now we're on mosquitoes. Not to sidetrack this all too much, but there's a report that came out from Silicon Valley, I don't know, about 6 months ago now, that was like all of the AI big heads got together and basically laid out how by 2027 we're all screwed. And really AI is going to take over. It's just a matter of, do we let it take over the right way, or do we let it take over the wrong way? And part of the wrong way is we get into a Cold War with China over AI and we let China take over. And if China takes over, we're screwed. if we work together with China or we beat China, then maybe we have a chance to make sure our AI overlords don't just kill us all.
That's why you need to be nice to Chat GPT when it does things for you.
That's what my wife says. She's like, don't talk bad to Alexa. You got to be nice to Alexa because if Alexa takes over, we want to survive.
Somebody told me every time you type the message, "Good morning, ChatGPT," that costs like 1/10 of a gallon of water.
Oh, nice. So stop saying thank you when it does something to me.
Yeah, just cut it down.
Cut the bullshit.
Got it.
My personal hope is that we go the route of Her, the Scarlett Johansson date AI movie, where basically at the end, spoilers, the AI says, you humans are just annoying. We're just going to go off and do our own little thing and our own little server, and we're never going to talk to you again. Have fun.
You lost me at Go the Way of Scarlett Johansson.
But it does beg an interesting question, right? Because if you think back historically to like World War II, we were not the more technologically advanced player in that war. You know, the Nazis were. They had better artillery, they had way better tanks, to the point where our soldiers were dropping our own rifles or, you know, shouldering their own rifles and picking up the Nazi rifles because they were better. You know, the reason, well, not the singular reason, but a big reason why we had success was because we were superior manufacturers to the European countries that were down with the Nazis. We could pump out tanks like nobody's business. But 10 of our tanks was about the equivalent of one Nazi tank. And so you think about that, and then you think about, like Scott, you were saying, an AI war with China. We can't out-manufacture a victory when it comes to AI. We're gonna.
Taiwan alone has 80% of all silicon chips.
I was going to say we can't out-manufacture anything in Asia. So
yeah.
Well, the good thing there is, you know, is Taiwan and China don't really get along with each other.
So back to Dax.
Nope. One more thing. Now that just Chris said what he did, I'm wondering if anybody out there is a fan of StarCraft, because she just described that the U.S. are the Zerg.
You can build all your shit you want. I'm going to send a Nidus canal up your ass and you're done.
We're just going to outman you.
If you know, you know.
Anyway, yes, exactly. All right.
By the way, I did upset an audience member last week because you said one more thing and I cut off the episode at that point. And they were very upset that I didn't let you get your last statement in. Sorry.
Right.
Oh, Jessi is now currently changing out her violence is the right choice or whatever the hell that flag is to she's now putting up birds are not
the
real.
Birds, yep.
Jessi has 2 flags.
I have 3 flags.
She has 3.
Oh yeah, don't forget about the butthole flag.
Show me your butthole.
Okay,
anyone else?
Wait. You can't just drop that and run by it. You gotta.
He doesn't understand the butthole history, and that we have a butthole
No
history.
one does.
Oh, we got a flag for it and everything?
God's sakes.
Like I said, when Prentice isn't here, shit goes off the
The
rails.
Kardashians are called spoonheads.
You know, when I
Show me your
was asked
spoon.
to be a part of this podcast, I never imagined I would be sitting here with my new team looking at a show me your butthole flag. This is
Jessi, you need to do us a favor and you need to post pictures of those flags up on our social media so people understand what we're talking about.
I will do so.
Yeah.
I will take them tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any other things about this episode? Not about the upcoming AI apocalypse or World War II?
Am I the only person that thought that Quark's moaning was hilarious?
Oh,
like,
no.
It was a classic.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
You know, we didn't talk enough about Quirk in general.
No, we did not.
Quirk was both the villain and MVP of this episode.
Because Quirk knew that if he wasn't the MVP, his ass was getting kicked off the station.
Oh yeah, Kira was ready to kill his ass.
Kira said you overstepped a line, and then Quirk's like, I'm going to go fight a Klingon.
I mean, there was that.
Jump the nearest Klingon.
But let's be real, though. Like, okay, if Quirk thought his ass was going to be in deep shit, he would have tried to just run. The fact that he actually like dug deep and found some bravery in him, I think was actually really kind of cute, because it's like, nah, dude, Quirk actually cares about the other people on the station. I don't think he's strictly in it just for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mike, I'm going to join Team Jessi and say I don't agree with you, because I don't think Quirk would ever run. We have never seen Quirk run. Quirk's always that chaotic, good kind of guy.
No way, dude. Quirk was absolutely going to run last episode until Rob sold his ticket.
That's true. But I mean,
Tried.
that's true. But I don't think Quirk was going to run. I think Quirk was going to find a way to ingratiate himself again. I will say, though, Armin Shimmerman, Quark, says this is one of his least favorite episodes. And that is because, I mean, I'm sure he had fun jumping a Klingon, but that's because he feels Quark overstepped the line and he should have been punished. And his character did not get punished.
I
and he's
mean,
not like that.
That is true. He kind of went far on this one. Like, I mean, we saw him almost murder somebody in like the first episode too, didn't we? Like, didn't he pull a phaser on somebody? So I mean,
well, and then Ron tried to kill him in the first episode.
There are some weird inconsistencies in just what Quirk is willing to do, but.
Yeah. Emily, you got your hand up. What do you got?
Well, let's hope I remember once I start talking.
Oh, for God's sake.
No. Quark is a very chaotic character because it's always like about the latinum and how he can get more of it. And then it was like, it's like when he set this up, he didn't realize that Jadzia might actually die. Or he set it up like, there's a risk, but I trust the team to like not let her die. But I don't always know with him because he is so freaking chaotic. But yeah, as soon as he figured out that he was gonna be a deep shit, and if Jadzia died, he might be getting trapped in that airlock too. He definitely made some choices, and they were kind of hilarious, to be honest. The way he just launched himself at a Klingon, because I mean, Klingons are known warriors, and the Ferengi are not. The Ferengi are not known for being warriors and fighters. They're known for profit and scheming.
Well, he was scheming, and that's why he fought the Klingon.
He knew he wasn't going to win that fight. He wanted to get to the infirmary.
I know, but it's, like, that's a pretty big risk to take on Klingon, though, when you're a Ferengi.
That's true.
To assume you're going to survive it.
Well, he saw Cisco kick the shit out of one of them earlier.
Yeah, but that's Cisco.
Speaking of Quark, I think one of my favorite lines of the whole episode was at the very beginning when he was like, I miss my brother, whatever. And Odo's like, you would sell your brother out in a heartbeat. He goes, well, that doesn't mean I don't love him.
Yeah, I think that tells. I think that talks about Quark in a nutshell. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It kind of sums him up, you know? Oh, I'll extort you. I'll exploit you for money, but I still love you and care about you.
And we heard in the last episode, never make fun of a Ferengi's mom, because that's where the line is drawn.
You know, they could have fixed the whole Quirk thing in this with like just a quick line to explain that like what Quirk thought he was doing was different than what like Rod's actual intentions were.
I think
that would have smoothed.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That would have smoothed the whole thing over from a character perspective for me, and they didn't do it, unfortunately. But
from what I took is that he was setting it up to sell the Klingon something. I don't think he knew about the other plot. So that's kind of what I took. Yeah. So
it was a double cross of a double cross.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I gave Cisco a lot of credit with his strategic thoughts and everything else. I completely agree. I think you see it too. You see Quirk sitting there playing with his coin. He's watching everything. He realizes, okay, I need to get myself down to sickbay. I need to help Bashir. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to hop on a Klingon and see what happens.
I'm still not entirely sure why he would bet on Bashir, but because he didn't know Odo was down there.
It was still a pretty funny fight scene, really.
I was gonna say that too. We've dogged our good friend Bashir a lot in this show, and I think it's because he hasn't had much to do yet. I think Bashir did great in this episode. He stuck up for Jadzia. He was staring down the Klingons until he found out that Odo was in the box.
He did also a good commando last episode, so
yeah. And you know, once he figured out what Quirk was doing, he was all on board, and he got it done. So Bashir, little action hero. Quirk and Bashir, it's great.
I've always liked Bashir from the beginning. Everyone hated on him, but I liked him. But as we've seen again, the shows grow and the episodes pass, Bashir has become more and more bold, more and more action, more and more, you know, brave, and like I just think he is starting to become less fuckboy, more leadership.
He's almost
style
James Bond like.
No, he's not. He's a doof.
Oh,
and I can't.
Just wait.
No.
This is my Prentice take a shot of the night. He's almost James Bond like. Okay, moving on.
Scott.
He's a doofy character. He's just like
no.
I can't.
To be honest, I think most James Bonds are doofy as well.
Puppy doctor.
Jesse,
I can't.
If Julian tried to holler at you on the station, you're not gonna give him some play. You're not gonna give him
No,
any time.
I would.
No. No, I can't handle stupid men. So I just like, I don't like stupid. I don't like the I don't know. Oh my God. It's like hair twirling. Oh my God. Like, that's what I get every time I see him.
He's not like that anymore, though. Like,
but he is, though. Like, I can't, maybe. Okay,
Jessi doesn't see change. Jessi does not allow for change.
And I appreciate
she is hardcore.
I appreciate you see it, but I can't unsee it. Cause like, I can't take him seriously. Like, I'm like, okay, Bailey badass, chill out.
The one other thing I'll give Bashir is I really did like the sentimentality when Jadzia was on death's door and she flat out said, I'm scared. He was, right by her bedside, not creepily. He's just like, treating her like a scared child and saying, I'm here to help.
Yeah, because he wants to fuck her. Like,
no, he was
damn.
actually.
Yes, he does.
Well, yes, he does, but like he was being empathetic and
you can be empathetic and you can be sincere.
Two things are true at once.
I'm not saying he's not sincere, but I'm saying he's like, if she was 8, nope, not going there.
Okay, the moral of the story is, kids, Jessi is all about first impressions. If you make the wrong one, you're screwed.
I'm not. Listen, he gave me a first season of impressions that I cannot unsee. So it has nothing. Like, listen, I hope he does become the war hero of the story. I just don't. I'm glad other people see it. I just don't see it. And you can want to fuck her and also want to be sincere for her, but I'm saying if he didn't have feelings for her, it would have looked different.
Let's be honest. I mean, there's not many people in the world who don't think of Terry Farrell in that way. Just saying.
I'm right, but listen.
Just saying.
Isn't it though? Never mind.
No, Nicole, go ahead, please.
I was to say, part of being a doctor and being in a caring industry, you have to have
empathy,
your and you have to treat that too. But you have to treat your patients with empathy and kindness.
Yeah.
And
how many times have you seen that not work out for us?
Oh,
how many times have you seen a doctor that you're like, hey, fuck you, dickhead, get a new job because you clearly hate your.
And that's why I fire them and find a new one.
Exactly.
Because I don't fuck with. But I'm just saying though, like I think it was elevated because he cares for her.
Right.
You know?
And I agree. Like, absolutely. But I'm just saying, if she looked like Pizza the Hut, he wouldn't fucking be on her like that. So yes.
Okay.
Another Spaceballs reference.
I can't help it.
Well, this is great. I tried to give Bashir some love and he still got beat. It's
no,
okay.
I'm not beating him. I just can't take him seriously. That is the moral of the story.
The other two little behind the scene things I got for you guys before we wrap this up is to our Babylon 5 Grey 17 people, our good friend Patricia Tolman, who played Lita Alexander, was the stunt double for Not a Visitor. And she was the one who took that fight with the Klingon that had with Kira. And Tolman took a real punch and got knocked on her ass. And they yelled, cut, cut, cut. And because Pat Tolman's a badass, she said,
say,
that looked good. You keep going.
I'm surprised she didn't actually kick the shit out of whoever punched her.
So Pat Tolman is still a badass, whether it be B5 or Star Trek.
Hell yeah.
The other thing is this was written by Robert Hewlett Wolf, who will be a show writer for the entire show. So we'll get a lot more out of him. And he's usually the science nerd, but he really liked this episode because he said that this was his John Woo moment, because you got that scene at the end with Cisco and Gerard staring at each other, pointing their faces at each other. Who's going to shoot first? And Benjamin has the best line ever in this episode. And he says, "Don't call me Benjamin," and just blast the shit out of him.
What do you think he would have done though if he would have killed the Simeon, not her, Dax?
Oh, so you still confuse me, Jessi. Which one are we talking about?
The Symbiont. What?
Or Dax?
No, Dax. You've corrected me. I figured it out.
No, you just said her, and then you said Dax.
I know, and I meant yes. Figure out what I'm trying to say. Right? Read my mind.
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
No, what would Cisco have done if he had killed the Symbiont? I'm not referring to the Symbiont as Dax.
So if he shot Gerard and Dax being inside,
how do you think?
Who is Gerard?
Verard.
I'm sorry, Verard. Sorry.
Jesus. Now you're correcting me. And
John Glover. I don't know. He aimed for the chest. I don't know.
Right. Dead fucking center.
Yeah,
like you could have shot him.
Which, by the way,
it's on the stun level, so it's fine.
I'll throw one more thing out there because Chris had the great line that Kira looked like she was on a rotisserie. Obrien had the exact same shot in this episode. His same shoulder burned out. I was like, this is like just what the costume department does now. If you get shot, your shoulder's all screwed up. Okay. Anyone else got anything?
God, no, I hope not.
Dude, it sounded like a fucking bomb went off outside my house. It just scared the shit out of me.
Celebrate the birth of your country by blowing a piece of it up.
Remember when Cisco was like, I won't be your friend anymore?
Oh, I wrote that down too. I'm like, well, our friendship is over. He took his ball and went home.
I hope we're friends for a third generation. No, fuck you.
There was that little bit of that juvenile play with Varad being, wildly entitled and, kind of like the kid who, how did you get an award? I should have got an award too. It's like, no, we don't give around participation awards around here. That's not how we're doing it.
That's how
you hit
we got
hit it
here.
on it right here. So Varad is basically a Gen Y. He is.
Oh man!
I didn't say millennial. There's a difference between us old millennials and Gen Ys. He's a participation trophy guy. He wants his toy.
He wants his trophy. He wants his toy.
And his trophy is a slug in his gut.
So Scott, I got a question. You said the actor who played Quirk.
No.
Armin Shimmerman, yes.
He said that this was like his least favorite episode.
Yeah, he does not like this episode.
Was part of that the fact that he had to moan like he was on the Red Shoe Diaries for like 10 minutes?
Oh no, I think Armin loves that kind of stuff. Chris, this is another thing we talked about already, the show that you weren't on yet. But one of the great things that Armin did is he would have readings at his house with all the Ferengi characters whenever there's a Ferengi scene or episode. And so he really built the Ferengi culture as much as the writers did. And part of that, and Armin Shimmerman has said this in interviews, is he was the first Ferengi. On TNG, he was that first Ferengi who shows up with an electric whip. And he felt that he owed the fandom to fix that because those Ferengi sucked.
Oh my god.
So he spent all of DS9 making Ferengis better.
Make Ferengis better. Oh no.
Make Ferenginar great again. But yeah, no, Armin Shimmerman's great. I think he's one of the best. He's really one of the best actors. I think him, Rene Auberjonois, both of those guys are. And Rene got stuck in a box for most of this episode, but. Yeah, I think those two guys are really great actors, and yeah, I love the fact that Armin Shimmerman always has fun with this shit. When he has to scream, he screams, and he does it well. And John Glover, by the way, gave a great O face when he got the slug put in him. Just want to throw that out there too.
Have you ever seen?
The same thing.
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
Oh.
Okay, but have you ever seen the
It's
pictures of
attaching.
like, is it labor or is it porn?
Yep.
And I was like, they can do that with this. Are you eating a symbiote or is it porn?
We can't see what's going on below the sheets.
God damn
But
it.
you can see the face.
Oh man.
See what happens, Prentice, when you're not here?
Do we know if Dr. Julian Bashir wants to be a stepdad? Does he like Jadzia?
I think he'd drink her fucking bathwater if he could. So I don't think it really matters.
Which of the celebrities is now selling their bathwater as soap?
Oh, God.
You know what? I don't want to know.
Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney
Yeah.
Sweeney,
Oh,
yeah.
that's who it is.
Is that a thing? I've got panties for sale if anybody wants to buy some.
You too.
Dude, don't put that
Get
out
on
there because you
Jessi's-
will get
What if
some
Japan?
people asking.
In Japan.
I'd rather sell socks.
I was told in Japan that they have vending machines that sell worn
Yep.
women's panties. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if that's a fact, so I'm not saying it is. It's just what I was told.
Who do you
And
think
that's
my
the
biggest
case.
supplier is? Or my biggest purchaser is? I don't know what's happening.
So it's snake milking and panty selling.
Panties.
Which also kind of goes hand in hand.
Join our Patreon and fund us a fact-finding trip
Yes.
to Japan.
Oh, I thought this was going another way. Join our
I
Patreon.
also did think that it was
And you too can discuss
Going the
trade
OnlyFriends
value
way.
with Jesse.
Platinum level Patreon
Oh, okay.
donation.
Oh, moving on.
Prentice
Okay.
is only a year older than me, and it feels like he's the father here. Like he is only 365 days older than me, and
The
I feel
inmates are
like
running the
Yeah,
institution.
he's only a
right now.
couple months older than me.
I'm a small child.
I know.
in it.
He's out there like winning awards and wearing tailored suits. And I'm just
Well,
like,
then we got
that's
Chris
cool.
here who's like
I,
scripts and pitching meetings and stuff, and we're not. So
President of the whatever.
like I've been living in leggings for 3 days, you know? It's fine.
Yep.
okay,
There's a
let's
reason.
go ahead.
Moving on.
Let's put this thing to bed.
Please, God.
Yeah, because I need to go to bed.
Before we kick our newbies out, let's go ahead and ask them for any of their questions or predictions. Again, they have not seen past this episode. So let's go to Chris first because he already started asking some questions. Chris, questions, predictions for after Invasive Procedures?
I think I'm just more curious to see, because we talked about it. This episode kind of deepened the relationship, I think, between the main characters on the crew, to see where those go. Will there be irreparable damage done by Quirk and his, hustler ways and always trying to make a dollar? Is he, like, Kira said, you crossed the line. Is that going to be held against him? Is that going to be a permanent scar that he's going to have to wear amongst the crew? Julian and Jadzia, a little tender moment is, I know Jessi hates him, but maybe Jadzia thinks, hey, this was kind of, kind of eye-opening for me. You saved my life. Like, does that go somewhere?
He's shipping them.
I'm also interested to see.
Can't always be Nicole who ships. Go for it.
That's true.
I'm also interested to see what happens with Benjamin, Cisco, and Dax and their relationship. Like, did this have any impact on their relationship? Like, if I'm Cisco, I might be sitting there thinking, how much of the way Varad was talking was all Varad? Was there some Dax in there? Did you really have no ability to stop Varad from leaving and doing this to Jadzia? Like, I think there could be some questions there. He's human, right? People have questioned things over less. So I think, I'm interested to see if there's anything there. Prediction, I don't really have any predictions. I'm just, interested to see where everything goes.
Nicole, questions, predictions.
What the hell is going to happen to Varad and his motley crew of assholes that took over the fucking station with the weapons? Are they going to get thrown in the clink? Are they going to get in trouble? Like, there was no reconciliation for that. And I was left like, okay, now what? I would think they are going to have to pay for what they did, because that's not cool. And also, I was also kind of wondering, like, is Quark going to have any issues going forward? Even though he kind of jumped in and helped save the day, he's still fucked up. So what kind of repercussions is Quark going to have? And then really, I don't have any predictions. I'm just kind of curious on if we'll see anything else about this storyline, or if this is just over and done with, move to the next thing.
And Jessi.
I hope so. So I want to know who does actually run the host once they put the person thing, blobby fucking thing in there. I also want to know, does the person get a choice on which blobby thing they inject into them? And is there, like, what if you get chosen for it and you find out that the person or the blobby thing that they're going to put in you is weird and you hate them? What happens if they put them in you and you still hate them? So
is there no takesies backsies?
Those are my questions, right?
I will answer one of those a little bit, just because we saw it in Emissary.
Mm-hmm.
Jadzia clearly knew who Curzon was when we saw this transfer happen, which, by the way, was a different looking slug, because Michael Westmore, the prop master and makeup designer, said, let's make it look a little less creepy. Like was an octopus.
You failed.
It was still disgusting.
But what if she knew of him, but what if she didn't like him?
I'm just saying, I mean, the only answer I have for you here is that Jadzia absolutely knew who Curzon was before she received Dax.
Sure.
That's all.
And that was not my question. No.
I'm sorry. I thought it was.
No, it's not. So let me there was a lot of weird shit coming out of my mouth when I was just trying to ask my question. So let me refine my question. What happens if they
Emily's
don't
got
agree?
it all down.
What if they don't agree with the symbiont that they're putting inside of the host? Like, what if the host thinks that the symbiont is a giant jackass and they don't want that symbiont? Can they say no? That's my question. I don't have any predictions. I also want to clear up the fact that I don't hate Bashir. I don't hate Bashir. I just don't take him seriously.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and end it there for our newbies until next week. A reminder to check out our social medias. Click all the links down below. If you're listening on our audio podcast, we have a YouTube. If you're on our YouTube, we have an audio podcast as well, so check out all of those. And we will be back next week for the Cardassians, not the Kardashians, Nicole and Jessi, the Cardassians.
I can't unhear it.
So until next week, I've been Scott, and with me has been
Emily,
Chris,
Nicole,
Jesse,
and Mike.
Who are you?
Newbies. Have a nice night.
Good night.
Bye.
Yo.
Irregardless.
I hate this.
Thank you for listening to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast. You can find all the places to listen to and watch this podcast by searching for Especially the Lies on your podcast app or on YouTube. We want to hear from you, so join the conversation at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review where you are listening to or watching this podcast. Especially the Lies is not affiliated with, and the podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by Paramount or any other owners of the Star Trek copyright. All clips included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respected copyright holders. They are included here for purposes of review, and no infringement is intended.
Why have you brought me here? Show yourselves. What do you want?
The Cisco has returned to us.
He arrives with questions.
There are always questions.
Welcome back to our spoiler section where we have ejected our newbies and now we will answer their questions and or predictions and try to understand if Jadzia or Dax is what Jessi is talking about, depending on the moment, because I'm still confused on which one she's talking about. Emily,
yes,
what do you got for questions?
Oh my god, they have so many freaking questions, and I actually love it.
Better than normal.
I
just
know.
bitched last week.
I did.
About how we had no questions.
I know, and they got all of the questions, and because the first one Chris asked was about how did the memories and feelings of the previous hosts not like fry the brain. I went back to get the season episode numbers and the episode titles so we'd have those available. But next season we get Equilibrium, where we get the murderer host that they didn't think would happen. And then episode 25 of season 3 is when they bring the previous host out into the bodies of her, of her friends, and Quirk gets to be a woman for a little bit.
Not the first time, not the last time.
But it's a good time. So
I was gonna say I didn't think we could answer a lot of the questions about the Trill stuff. The specifics that they're asking anyway.
Yeah, a lot of those don't get answered till next season.
I don't think they get answered then either. I mean, there is some conversation. Like Equilibrium talks about more of the hierarchy of what it is to be a Trill and a join Trill. But I think there's still some questions. I think it really depends on who's writing the episode at the time.
Yeah,
I think
how much of who's in charge of what.
I can't tell if it's that. I
can't
tell if it's that or if it's deliberately left kind of vague. You know,
probably a little bit of both. I mean, it allows for more storytelling, but I mean, we clearly see that when Ezri comes in season 7, that there's a lot of Jadzia in her. But I wonder if that's just because they wanted the character of Jadzia to carry on with a new actor, or if that's actually where they were going with the Trill. Who knows? We'll get there when we get there, but it's interesting. I do like that. I just pulled up the Equilibrium picture, and it's that same gooey pool that's in Discovery, which looks weird in Discovery too. They're in that little pool. Mike, you haven't watched Discovery yet, have you?
I've seen half of it. I actually don't remember what character is the Trill. Is it?
It is Blue's partner. Not Blue is the actor. I'm sorry. What's the character's name?
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the ghost. That's the Trill, but it turns out not the ghost because it's whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the longest part of that season, I thought that we were going to find out that it was Dax, but it's a different symbiote.
I'm actually glad they didn't go that direction. Like, I think we've talked about this before where like we've gotten into this era in Hollywood where like writers feel like every character has to somehow be like related to every other character.
And it makes everything
like what was it? It was like the shitty Ninja Turtle movie. It was like, oh, the Shredder is actually Casey Jones's uncle, who is the father of April O'Neil, who had the turtles when she was a child. It's like, well, stop. Like, this is not necessary. No, people can just not know each other.
Things get a lot smaller as all that crap connects.
Yeah, it's horrible.
By the way, the only good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie is the first one. I stand behind that.
Fantastic.
I agree.
Continuing. So Chris wanted to know if Quark causes irreparable harm at some point in the series.
I love the fact that I pointed out Armin Shimmerman's not happy with this episode because no punishment comes. And they're like, does he get punished? Like, no.
Well, he was asking, like, is there a point where he crosses the line and, like, you can't fix what he did? Was one of his questions, basically.
Yeah.
I took it as throughout the series, not, like, specifically this episode. He's asking, it was like,
okay, maybe it was Nicole who asked for
predictive
repercussions.
question.
Yeah, I got you. I don't think so. I mean, I
can't think of anything.
No, I do think that maybe because Armin talked to the writers, this is the last time that they use Quirk that I know of to directly cause the trouble. Yes, he is involved in trouble again. He's involved in a lot of stuff again, but never does he like let terrorists on the station again after this.
Yeah, I can't think of any.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. He gets into a lot of shenanigans, and like somehow other people bring him into their shenanigans.
Oh yeah, and he's definitely. I mean, he's doing black market stuff all the way to the end, and in fact, he becomes a supporter of the Federation when he's doing the black market shit when the Cardassians are in charge of the station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we know through Lower Decks that he stays on DS9 long after the show's over. So
That's true.
So Chris also asks if there might be something with Jadzia and Julian, which gets really interesting and complicated at some point.
yeah.
Kind of yes, kind of no.
Well, I mean,
Kind of Esri.
here's the thing. Jadzia as a character, and I really appreciate this about Jadzia, she is a very, I don't know how to even word this correctly without getting yelled at, but the person who would yell at me is not here, so that's good. She is a very open sexual person. So
Yes.
she will flirt with everybody. She will go on dates with everybody, including people who have transparent heads, because we hear about that later. So I'm sure that there is some connection between her and Bashir. Not as much as what Bashir would like, but it does get weird when Jadzia marries Worf for a little bit for Bashir. And I think there's an episode, it may even be the wedding episode, where Bashir works that shit out for himself. But then when Esri shows up, that makes things even more weird with Bashir jumping into the sack. And literally the last episode of the series, we start with Bashir and Esri in bed. So
Yeah, but was Esri the one who told Bashir that if Worf hadn't come onto the station, like it could have been him? Because he gets
I think
told that at one
so.
point. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I think so.
What
I
a
can't
weird
remember
thing
who-
to say to somebody.
Right?
If it hadn't been for the better guy, you would have been the runner.
If it hadn't been for the
Mike, have you never
Klingon-
experienced that in real life? Be honest. Have you never experienced that in real life? Because I sure as shit have.
It's just weird, man.
I have had a mutual acquaintance of the three of us come up to him and say, "Hey, if somebody else was in my life, it would have been you." I'm like, "What? It was 20 years ago. Fuck you."
Well, thanks for that information. What do I do
Yeah.
with it? Great. Fantastic.
My therapist will love it.
Great.
That's an extra bill.
Now I can avoid real trauma because you gave me this other nugget to take in.
Thank you for the trauma I can work with. I appreciate it.
So the trauma I should deal with, thank you for this new shit.
On a scale of red to blue, this is a purple trauma. I appreciate it.
I mean, now I have to wonder about this, right?
Yeah, now I have a lot of
I'm
questions.
going to assume that it was Alan.
God, but no,
Wow.
that's a whole nother story. Later on. Okay, moving on. What do we got?
All right, so Chris also asked if this will somehow impact the Cisco Dax relationship, because how much did Dax try to interfere with the situation?
See, and for me personally, I think that's more of an answer to why I think they are different, wholesome, or whole cloth personalities. Because Verard Dax is gone. Jadzia Dax is back. And whatever Verard Dax was doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
That's how Cisco takes it. I don't think we ever deal with anything else.
Well, and I couldn't bring it up while we had newbies, but after Dax was put in Varad, I felt like he had a lot more of Curzon's personality.
That's true.
Where, like, Varad was replaced with more of Curzon's... I mean, obviously the friendship with Cisco showed up more, but even, like, the arrogance, the confidence... Curzon was kind of known for being a womanizer.
So's Jadzia.
A little bit. Yeah, and I didn't want to talk too much. I mean, well, we did have an episode where they did meet Curzon, I guess, didn't they?
I mean, I don't know. Some of it,
Yeah,
I
for
feel
the
like
trial,
I feel
but
like we're just reading into too much because, more than one person can have the personality trait of being arrogant. So I don't know that it's
correct.
necessarily that
In the
Curzon's
context.
coming out. I look at it like the jump the ship and make another out of franchise reference. I think it's like the super soldier serum in Captain America. I think I don't think that the symbiote necessarily has its own personality that it like inflicts you with or merges with you. I think it just amplifies a lot of what you already have in you with its
adds more to the mixture too. Yeah.
world of experiences and memories. Because we're all shaped by our memories and experiences. So yeah, naturally, if you suddenly have access to a whole shitload of 8 lifetimes of new memories and experiences, it's going to change you. But I think you're still essentially you. You're just like extra you.
That's a good point. I mean, I think it's either Gerard or Jadzia who flat out say, I have 300 years of memories and experiences. So
yeah, the 8 lifetimes. So those are
one that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
It's like Bruno.
Yes. So those were Chris's questions. Nicole wants to know what the hell happens to Varad and his crew, and
he takes over a New York high-rise and fights off a gremlin invasion. And then grows a scraggly long beard and hair and buys a small mansion in Smallville, Kansas, and causes trouble there.
Good for him. We don't ever really see if there are consequences for Quirk over this, do we?
No, we don't. We've talked about
like
this like
Armin
3
talked
times.
about it, but I'm thinking just in general, like
There
the
are not.
consequences for some of the shit Quirk does. Like it's not often that he has consequences.
That's it.
I mean, the consequences, Odo continues to think he's a dickhead.
Yeah, I mean,
Odo
like I said,
loves him.
I think in my head canon, Quirk would not have sold Jadzia out. I think he
because he likes her.
I think he made a criminal bargain and didn't know what was really going to happen. And
yes,
they probably sold that story, and Odo just continued to go, well, I'm going to keep an eye on you, and that's that.
Yeah.
Well, and part of it too goes back to again the strategic mind of Cisco. Just to get back to the theme, and the reason why Quirk's even there is because Cisco knows that he has connections and that he needs those connections.
Yeah. Yep. And then Nicole wants to know: is the storyline done?
Yes,
yep, pretty much. Okay, so then
we're not to season 3 yet. Sorry, Nicole.
Jessi had a lot of questions about the host symbiote relationship.
I'm impressed, Jessi.
I know that we can't necessarily answer.
Well, I don't think we could answer even with the whole show because again, it's the same thing we just talked about. But I think it depends on the writer.
I liked your question about what if they don't mesh, but I think that's part of the process was matching up the host. With a symbiote.
Well, but
I agree to a point. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we get a bit of an answer to that in future episodes where we see
serial killer
more about that. And the core answer is that no, I think they match the symbiote to you, and like you're in it for whatever you signed up for. Like
yeah.
And if your host decides to commit murder and they get executed, then the symbiote moves on to the next.
Yeah.
Which is what we find out later.
And that's actually another good point about the whole who's in control thing. Because if one of your hosts in the middle of the pack of 8 happened to decide to be a psychotic serial killer, the symbiote didn't stop it.
But can they?
And going on to that Ezri episode where she brings the killer out, Ezri starts playing with that gun, that little sniper see-through walls gun, and she's enjoying it. So
okay, are you telling me you wouldn't kind of enjoy that too?
It's a little voyeuristic, I'm not gonna lie, but. So I don't think I know it was a trick question when I asked it, but I don't think there is this is the symbiote driving the ship. This is the host driving the ship.
No,
it's a mingling.
Yeah, it seems like they mesh differently, and given the personalities and stuff of the previous host, that's a lot going on.
I mean, and then another example is when a former lover comes to the station, and that's where we have our first female kiss, but it really is it Curzon or is it, I don't forget what host it is. But it's
a prior.
Oh wait, no, it was a female host, and the host of the other Trill was a male at the time. Is that right?
The previous host had been a married couple.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. So I mean,
yeah.
So I mean, hey, again, it depends on who's writing the episode. how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
I was just
So
looking to see it. Chris locked on to the whole thing about whether Trills were special in some way that enabled them to be joined without having their brains fried. And I'm sure
I
there's
think it's-
probably an answer somewhere in the Trek canon,
but
but
it's also a
It's-
system that's evolved together. So
Exactly. I was just going to say that too. It's evolutionary. I mean, they live on a planet where there are two species. You have the Trill hosts and you have the symbiotes. And they have gone through millions of years of evolution to be able to do this.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, we've seen the Trills in their little swimming pool. They have no offensive or defensive capabilities. They need hosts. No.
Yeah.
So they're like guinea pigs.
Which really
It's like
makes
the
me
fungus
wonder
in Last of Us.
how that situation evolved. Like, I have a lot of biological questions that we can't answer.
There seems to be a worm in this pool. Do I cut myself open and stick it in?
I mean, I had this talk with somebody before. I'm like, there had to be somebody that decided to try the whatever berry for the first time.
I'm pretty sure the first one
chipmunk experience.
Oh God, no! The first one who tried it, that badge 502, was just like, no, no.
I found out it's easier if we do go through the stomach, but we didn't the first time.
Wow. Okay.
Good chat.
Now, kind of amazed we didn't cover this in the show.
It's probably for the best.
We get into body horror territory,
I do not like body horror stuff. Ugh. So gross.
Anything else, Emily?
We don't get Cronenberg until way later.
So those were all the P's and Q's for them.
We do. That's
I know.
Yeah, that's all the P's and Q's.
That's a question for you, Mike. Sorry, and Emily too.
What?
Did you like that reveal that Cronenberg was Daniels? Because I did not see that coming until the end.
I don't.
The hell are you talking about?
Oh, you guys, have you not watched the final season of Discovery?
No, I've only seen the first 3 seasons.
I don't even.
Cronenberg starts saying stuff like he's been around for a while and he has. Like when they go into his office in season 4 and he's got like Geordie's visor and he's got other little trinkets. And so it's like clear that he's from a different time. And we find out that he is a character from a previous show that you guys don't know about. So I'll just shut up now.
Something about Enterprise.
Yeah, he's okay. Well, he's Crewman Daniels.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I can't make it through Discovery.
I like Discovery more than most.
I actually kind of I do want to finish it because I've heard that it got better, but
I hate the first season.
Season 1 and season 2 were awful, and season 3 was like okay.
3 was a transitional season. Season 4 was probably the strongest, and season 5 wasn't bad.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with Discovery is I still couldn't tell you who all the crew members are. I mean, that's just frustrating as shit. I know Michael Burnham.
That they made it like a one character show.
Yeah, it's not
2, I guess. But yeah.
Okay, but that's a different conversation for a different show.
Yes.
So Emily, are we good?
I don't know. Can we talk about the shift in Cisco? That's because I've been rewatching Spencer for Hire, like the personality shift.
Tell us more about your love for Avery Brooks. Go for it.
Oh my God, I would love to tell you all about it. Yeah, he needs to do some audiobooks for some series because I feel like that personality is a lot of the morally great characters that everyone is loving right now.
There is an autobiography of Benjamin Sisko that does not have an audiobook. I checked. But the autobiography of Janeway is read by Kate Mulgrew. So somebody needs to just give Avery Brooks some money and make him read that book.
Give him all the money. Have him do all the audiobooks. All of them. Every single one. Doesn't matter what it is. He can do them all. No, I do like the shift that we're seeing because it feels like he's obviously more secure in the role and they're figuring out what to actually do with him and make him a good leader for the group. But
I think it's a slow transition too. I think because even Avery says until they let me shave my head and grow the goatee, and it's actually the other way around. He grows the goatee first, then shaves his head.
Yeah, and it's funny because that's how he looks in like Spencer for Hire and A Man Called Hawk. It's the shaved head, it's the goatee.
That's just who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it fits much better. But it was kind of nice to see him kind of like when he was like choking Quark, like, I could kill you right now for this shit. Like, I am very angry, but I am still under control, but I'm struggling here.
They're in the hallway, and Verard's like, okay, I'll chat with you next time, Benjamin, and he just blasts the shit out of him. Don't call
He's
me
like,
Benjamin.
hey. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy a little more of that darker aspect of the show.
Well, you're gonna get it.
I know. That's why I love it.
I
That's what
am
I'm here
actually.
for.
I have gone out of my way not to bring it up because none of the newbies have brought it up. I mean, Captain Kirk, Captain Picard, Commander Cisco. No one has really talked about that. I mean, the in-canon reason is he doesn't have a starship, but really it's because we can't have a black captain right now. We're almost there, but we can't.
Well, and the newbies don't have enough Star Trek background, I think, to question that at this point.
I don't even think it's a Star Trek background, though. It's the fact that, okay, the two white guys who came before were captains. Why is the black guy not a captain?
Yeah.
And the answer is 1990s.
Right? So tragic.
Is that true, though? I mean, are there no other examples in other series where...
Well, I mean, in Star Trek, there wasn't. I mean,
we already had, like, Admiral Cartwright.
Yeah, you're right. We did.
So I guess I just don't quite, I don't know. I don't know if that...
I mean, I don't know if I don't have like in writing somewhere that I can think of right now, but
it is weird
I think it was weird that like, hey, we have the first black captain, but he's not a captain. And again, in Star Trek canon, it's going to be, well, he didn't have a starship, so he's not a captain yet. But that's bullshit. In real life, it's like everyone, the white guys, we're all captains. There's no captain on this thing.
And it is weird because not just that, like, the other series are on ships and they're captains, but he is like the primary leader of...
I guess I just always thought it was just a strictly like military rank and protocol kind of thing. I didn't read into it any further than that, but maybe.
Well, I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but I know for a fact there were some stuff in the 90s, especially in the first season when DS9 was coming out, that there were comments about how we got our first minority leader of the show, but we can't even give him a rank of captain. He can't be like Kirk and Picard.
Well, again, I guess I'm wondering if that was people looking to pick a fight more than something that was real. But I could be wrong.
I mean,
maybe it was. Maybe it was a real thing. I couldn't tell you. I just know that there are some contradictory examples of, like I said, they've shown Admiral Cartwright was a black man who was an admiral, not above a captain. So that seems contradictory. And also knowing that Trek is...
I'm not saying there's no like minority leadership. I'm just saying that
like
in
the star
terms
of the
show, we can't make the star of the show a captain.
I don't know. That seems very flimsy, but again, it is Hollywood. It's very possible.
Yep, that's all I got.
Man.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw that little grenade and walk away.
Yeah. That you did.
What's in next week's episode? Oh shit, that's season 3.
Cardassians. Dukat comes to the station for the first time. Again, I mean, he was an emissary, but he's not going to be on the little screen this time.
Is this the one about
it's a good episode. It's
the kid that's been raised to hate Cardassians. So.
It's the orphans. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We got some
interesting conversation.
We got some really good. Well, no, I mean, I will say, we've got this episode was good. Invasive Procedures is really good. I think Cardassians is a really good episode just because Dukat's in it and he's great. And then we get the episode where the lady flies around because she doesn't have her legs or can't use her legs. It's one of the worst episodes.
And Bashir crosses that patient doctor.
It's like
line.
Maria or Marial or something. Yeah,
Melora.
That's the episode. Melora, thank you. It's oh god.
You're welcome.
That'll be a fun one.
But the one after that is Rules of Acquisition, which will be amazing.
Season 2's not bad, guys.
No, it isn't.
No, it's not bad.
It isn't.
It's not season 3, better. But yeah, it's not bad. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and end it there until next week. Please be sure to like, subscribe, follow, click all the links down below, and if you can, please leave us a review. It really does help us. We've gotten 3 or 4 in this past week, so you guys are doing a great job on that. Keep it up. And also, we are dumping a whole bunch of more stuff on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go over there and subscribe there too. We're putting up trailers, some scenes from episodes, basically whatever I can throw up that Paramount's not going to yell at me about. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so until next week, I've been Scott, and with me has been
Emily
and Mike.
And this is going to be another fun one to edit.
Yeah.
I thought this would never run. Maybe it will. Now.
Because of the end of civilization, the Clamp Cable Network now leaves the air. We hope you have enjoyed our programming, but more importantly, we hope you have enjoyed life.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. It's very uplifting.